And running, and Villa Park is loud.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back for the Aston Villa, back with the match preview, for Wolves versus Aston Villa coming up on Sunday, October the 8th. I'm forgetting the dates here, mate. I'm forgetting the dates. The games are coming thick and fast, but I'm here with Martin, who we're gonna preview the game with. How are you doing, mate? Mate, I haven't seen you for a while, actually.
Yeah, I haven't seen you for about a week. I think that's about it, no, doing all good, nice early morning over Saturday. What else would I be doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's because we're a bit all over the shop with all these shows coming up.
Mm.
I think I've done instant match reactions, done talking tactics, we've done previews for European games. I don't know whether I'm coming or going with all these shows, but it's great to bring everyone the content. And yeah, we are very, very close, Martin, to 2,500 subscribers. I think we're about 20, 28, 29 away. So
Big
at the
numbers.
moment. So yeah, fantastic stuff. So guys, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, help us on the road to 3K. Because yeah, the growth has been amazing the last couple of weeks on the channel. We just want to keep that going and keep that content coming for you. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and jobs a good one. So yeah, Wolves coming up on Sunday, Martin, and
Mm.
we're actually in we're in good form anyway, but we don't need a reaction to a disappointing midweek performance for once.
Yeah, that's something I've kind of been saying for the last while, isn't it? Reaction, reaction, reaction. And I kind of been getting sick of saying it. Where now this time we're on the back of two good performances going into a derby game, which is ideal, because it doesn't matter, the poor start the Wolves may have had. Derby games just bring different things, So like Wolves will certainly be up for it, and so will we. We might have left at the death on Thursday, but 3 points is 3 points to me.
Yeah, and I know we didn't get a chance to do a proper reaction show for it, but I did my kind of solo one, and I said, and I think we were kind of all thinking the same in our group, that 1-0 victory in Europe, because we haven't been in it so long. The nature of the goal that it came, and it doesn't really matter about the quality of the opposition you're playing against. Just getting that victory in Europe for the players will be huge for them, and they can take that further on into European competition, but also as inspiration for Sunday's game.
Absolutely, I mean, for some of them, that's their first game in Europe at Villa Park, and the nerves would have been kicking in, like regardless whether it's Conference League, Champions League, Europa League, it's European football at the end of the day for them, and for some of them that was their objectives and their goals. So for them to get the 3 points and to hear the Villa fans roar in the last minute, the limbs that was going off,
Mm.
for them, that would give them goosebumps and kick them on in Europe and hopefully finish high up in the group and get us an easier draw, hopefully, in the next round.
Exactly. Well, yeah, obviously that's to come in a couple of weeks, but we've got Wolves on Sunday,
Mm.
and they'll be going into the game off the back of a phenomenal result against Manchester City last week. So
Yeah,
I think they have been playing well. And you said just before, mate, derby games. Both teams are well up for it anyway, but Wolves be a very, very, very tough opposition.
that's it. And I think the last few times they've kind of been our bogey teams. They've always really done well against us because they're probably thinking that, right, Aston Villa, they're doing really well at the minute. Let's really be up for this one because you know they're probably thinking they're going to come here and get an easy game, and it's just a psychological game really. This because on one end Aston Villa were doing really well. We're looking at Wolves going, But we're not looking at it as an easy game. We always know Wolves is a tough
Mm.
game, but you could kind of look at it like, right now, kind of be a good time to get them because they haven't been doing as well as they have been. But at the same time, like you just said there, they're on the back of a good run of 2 wins in a row. I think beating Luton and Manchester City. Their
Well,
confidence is
they
high
got
just as ours.
yeah, no, the Luton rescued a draw against them, but they
Oh,
obviously
Luton draw, sorry. Yes,
yeah, but obviously they had 10 men Wolves and they had that dodgy penalty that was given against them. So yeah, but yeah, 4 points from the last two. They wouldn't have they would have probably thought, it would have been reversed. They'd beat Luton and maybe get a draw against City, but obviously
exactly.
it didn't
It,
transpire that way. But yeah, they're
yeah.
still playing very well. Yeah, and they've got a player who I really like, and I know he's getting a lot of plaudits
Mm,
across the Premier League. Pedro Neto, and Matty Cash. If he's likely to start. I think he is, but he saw off Mitoma last week. Is he going to do the same with Neto, or is Neto? I don't know if Neto plays the other side, in which case Luca Dean's going to have a tough afternoon against him as well. So how you think we're going to be set up to kind of thwart Pedro Neto?
yeah, I think this one's going to be a tough one because, admittedly, I thought Matoma would have been really tough, but Pedro Neto, he's on fire at the minute. Like like pace in behind the defenders. He's got trickery. I think he's last 2 games he's scored and then he kind of contributed to the own goal. So like it's he's on form at the minute, and that's worrying for us because when there's a player on form, it can be challenging. But at the same time,
Mm.
Matoma was in form and Matty Cash had a great game. So maybe these lads probably get a lift of players in form that, yeah, you're at your best, and that's exactly what I want you to, because then they probably bring them back down to earth.
Yeah. It's looking at the last game he played down the right hand side, so he's likely to be facing up to Dina, which
Yeah.
I mean, whoever he faces up, they're going to have a tough afternoon. But Dina's going to have to be on his game to cope with him. But you've
Mm,
just said there, in behind movement across the whole like front back line, can quick on the ball, and that's something that Wolves have done where I think Gary O'Neill has probably identified that they've got that defensive setup with the likes of Kilman and Dawson, who will throw their bodies in, put their bodies on the line. They like to defend their box, and if they can get quick ball, we know that they're a strong physical side as well. If they can get quick ball to like Neto, Huang, and Cunha, that three
mm,
can cause problems for any defense, because they've got good movement and they're fast, direct, and they don't really have too much from those from
mm.
the other kind of six behind them, but they're or 6 or 7 behind them, but they are really really strong. At defending and then turning that into quick attacks.
Yeah, exactly. They really transition really well from defense to attack, and that's something Gary O'Neill has done even when he was at Bournemouth. Because a lot of people, I think, wrote Wolves off at the start of the year prior to the Gary O'Neill appointment, and I think I did as well. I think I had them to go down in the Premier League prediction, but I forgot Gary O'Neill was their manager, and now I'm kind of thinking, nah, I think Wolves should be all right because he done a fantastic job with Bournemouth. How they let him go was a ridiculous decision, and look, it's backfiring on them now. And I think he's going to be okay with Wolves. He's got a good chunk of players that he can work with, and he's got Pedro Neto, who I think is his vocal point. And hopefully in January, if he picks up 1 or 2 players, they can start climbing themselves up the table. So I think this is probably a tough game, and Gary O'Neill's a very good manager, and I think in a game like this, for Gary O'Neill, I think he'd definitely be up for this and wanting to do us one because of what we've done to him at Bournemouth.
Mm, yeah, make a great point there, mate. Well, Villa, on the other hand, yes, we mentioned we're going into it off the back of 2 different types of performances, but 2 wins nonetheless. However, there are 1 or 2 doubts on players, and we've also, sadly, we're without Jacob Ramsey now for another 4 to 6 weeks, which is really a real shame.
Yeah.
And and Boubacar Kamara and Moussa Diaby are doubts as well. It's, I mean, I will do our predicted lineups in a second, but those injuries are still like kind of dragging us back a little bit, or not necessarily dragging us back, but they're stopping Emery from having all the options available to him, and it's a little bit of a frustration, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at the list of injuries at the moment, Diaby's a doubt, Kamara's a doubt, Ramsey now 4 to 6 weeks, Moreno till the international break, and then you've Mings and Wendy out and for basically for the season. There's 6, 7 players that you would be looking at nearly certified starters or challenging for the starting 11. To Don't get me wrong, I think the squad is still in a healthy place even without them, but
Mm.
they are really, there's games where they really have been missing, like a Mings, a Wendia, and even we haven't seen a game where we've been missing Diaby, but I just think that that list it's really kind of done us in some games, but at the same time we've really stepped up to the mantle.
Yeah, and I guess the likes of Tielemans, Longley, Dendoncker, even they are going to have to step up, and when they're called upon. And I think Longley performed pretty well on Thursday. Like as the game went on, I thought he got into the game more and more, in my opinion. I think
Mm,
Tielemans again. Um, I mean, admittedly, Longley didn't have much to do in terms of like that defensive element. But Tielemans, I thought, on reflection, I know a lot of people were kind of like criticizing him on the night, but it's very difficult to kind of find those, really intricate through passes when a team is playing, basically 10 men behind the ball.
yeah.
Um, but I think the great thing about the situation with Tielemans was that he kept going, and he was trying. And I think those 90 minutes will help. But my point is we need those players to be on call to step in. He might have to. Tielemans might get the start tomorrow. Longley might have to get minutes at some point. Carlos might have to get minutes at some point, and we have to be able to call up on these players to come in
Mm,
and perform when ready. And how do you think that they're shaped up for that at the moment?
I think we're pretty well equipped because I mean, with Carlos coming back, I think that's a bonus in the back line. So we're not too short with Konza, Torres, and Longley. So therefore, we've got cover in the centre of the pitch, and if it means that Carlos comes on and we can shift Konza out to right back, that's happy days. In the midfield, I think I wouldn't be so fond of Dendoncker because I think at times like he's really slow on the ball. Like he kind
Mm,
of takes that extra touch too many, and it's then he's closed down, and then he's trying something fancy, and it doesn't pull off. With Tielemans, I think Tielemans at this minute is kind of low on confidence because he's probably come to a team where you think he's going to start games, so like a midfield three of him, Kamara, and Louise, and that hasn't happened because Emery's kind of backing Kamara and Louise like as a double pivot partnership at the minute. So maybe you would have thought Tielemans would go further up the pitch, but I think he's probably low in confidence because he's not playing as much in the Premier League as he would have liked, where he's only been playing in the Conference League, and I just think that ever since since the manager told him, look, I'm going with these two, you kind of have to earn a place. Tielemans probably isn't used to that. He's used to being like a Kamara and Louise for us, where he's a certified starter. So perhaps he's probably low on confidence and needs to get himself back up there. That like right,
mm.
I'm gonna cement my place, and if he does that, happy days and prove us wrong. Fantastic, it'll turn out to be a bargain. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you've got who else have we got? Did I say Longley? If he comes on against Wolf, I think this game might be very tricky for him. But I think if he does well defensively, which he didn't do too well against Legia, you know, then you would say maybe in the next game he could be looking at starting in the Conference League again.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're right in terms of options, and you saw Tielemans how he reacted at the end of the game. He'd played a full 90. We'd got the win. I think that'll be massive for him. Anyway,
Mm.
let's get into our predicted lineups. Obviously, we're using FanHub for our lineups, and we're going to announce something very exciting with FanHub very soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But I've gone for Martinez, Cash, Concert, Torres, Dina, Kamara, Louise, McGinn, Zaniolo, Diaby, and Watkins. And I believe, Martin, you've got a similar lineup, but Leon Bailey instead of Zaniolo. So, yeah, we're both going for the fact that we think Kamara and Diaby will be past fit. I think Emery said they're going to train with the team today and then take it from there. So I do think that they will risk starting them on the basis of, there's international break, etc., etc. And then, Zaniolo, I just think he'll maybe start Zaniolo because Bailey will be more effective coming on maybe in the second half, and just in terms of like giving us that extra dimension. But then you could flip it the other way and say, Bailey could get us off to a good start in terms of pace, and then you bring Zaniolo on for a bit more physicality later on. It's a flip of a coin, really, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it doesn't matter which way you do it. Each one gives you a different dimension. Regardless, you could start with Zaniolo, who has a bit of a raw power and pace about him, and then you've got Bailey, who has that little bit of trickery. So you've got literally, like you said, just a flip of a coin. It doesn't matter which way you do it. But I've kind of gone with Bailey on the left because against Zrinski, I thought he was very effective on the left, actually, because he was direct.
He was.
Like, he was
Yeah.
really direct. He was getting past defenders, and he could just cross the ball in. Where on the right, sometimes I feel like when he's on the right, he wants to cut in too much, and look for that pass. Where on the left, he can just beat the defender and get the ball in early. So maybe,
well,
because I
he
think
was
with
beating.
Leverkusen, with Leverkusen, I think he was predominantly on the left and Diaby was on the right. So unless that's what we're looking at, and if that's the case, then long may it continue.
Yeah, well, I remember last season against Brentford, he played on that left hand side when obviously in between Gerrard and Emery coming in, and he had a brilliant game when we beat them 4-0. And then what I was so impressed with on Thursday was he had that direct nature of his game, but they were doubling up, they were tripling up on him, and he was kind of dinking through them. And then, like, whether he get the crossing or not, he'd get a corner. We know he had 15 corners on that game, so he was actually like productive in terms of what we were doing. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'd like to see more movement. That's what I'd like, in terms of like that crisscrossing, or 10 minutes out at one side and Diaby out the other, and then switch and that kind of stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. I do want to cover just the stats of kind of Villa Wolves and our head-to-heads, because it doesn't make for great reading, to be fair. In terms of fairly recent form, we've played each other 16 times in the Premier League. We've drawn 5, and then we've got 5 total wins, and Wolves have got 6 total wins. Away from home, we've actually had 4 wins, which isn't too bad. I remember, I think a 3-2 victory years ago with Robbie Keane, I think maybe starred for Villa.
Yeah.
But yeah, last season we obviously got beaten 1-0 there, and then we drew 1-1. So we only took 1 point off them last season. The season before they beat us 2-1, and then they beat us 3-2 at Villa Park. That was kind of the start of the demise for Dean Smith, and then a 0-0 draw in lockdown. I think we beat them once in lockdown. I remember Al Ghazi scoring a penalty. But our recent form hasn't been good against Wolves of late, and you could say that much like we're Brighton's bogey team, Wolves could class themselves as being our bogey team.
Absolutely, and that's obviously what I've said earlier, and like when you're looking at these results, I remember the Villa one, we were 2-0 up, thinking lovely, 3 points on the board, and they go and get themselves 3 goals in like the last 15 minutes, and you're going, that's just pop luck, isn't it? And then they've obviously done well for themselves ever since. And like I said, it's a derby game. It doesn't matter how good Villa are or how poor Wolves have been, or vice versa. These games just bring different things, and everyone's up for it. Like, it's like what game would it be? It'd be like Liverpool Everton. It doesn't matter how bad Everton are or how good Liverpool are. It's not going to be a clear whitewash game. It's going to be a tight game because you're going to be up for it, and the fans as well. That's what will bring.
Yeah. quick look at the form guide. So, for Wolves, 1-2 out of the last 5, and got the draw against Luton away. And yeah, massive result for them against Man City. They tend to score in each game, so they're not, they're not too much struggling for goals. But then you've seen, 2 games where they've conceded 3 goals, and they've conceded in all those games bar Everton. So that's something for us to kind of to look at. We're obviously 4 wins from 5 in the Premier League, which is good form now. Massive result against Brighton. Different type of victory against Chelsea, and then kind of comeback win against Palace. So we've shown that we can do pretty much all of the types of victories, which is good for us. We're sitting in 5th position at the moment, 1-5. Wolves sitting in 15th, 1-2. They've drawn 1, lost 4. We've drawn none and lost 2. We're averaging 2.5 goals a game. Wolves at 1.1. So obviously, in that sense, we're creating chances and putting them away. They're just under 2 goals a game. We're kind of 1.5 goals a game. So that type of setup, and we create more chances. So that type of setup, leads to the fact that we will be favourites going into the game. But as we keep saying, that Derby game, that kind of goes out the window. And yeah, in terms of goals, Hwang's got 4, Ollie Watkins has got 4, and Louise has got 3. Assists Neto there with 4, Diaby with 3, and Watkins with 3. So yeah, they've got players in there that can definitely hurt us, but we've still got to be fairly confident in terms of how we're playing and what we're doing going into this game, Martin.
Absolutely, like you just said there, even though we've got a great scoring record at the minute of like 2.57 goals per game, those are phenomenal numbers. Those are numbers of like a top 3 Premier League team. And then you're coming up with in this derby game where that just completely goes out the window because, Wolves are kind of defend themselves, very tactically. They're very well structured in their defense. So like it's gonna be a tight game, and I think it doesn't matter, like Huang Chang there, he's their top goal scorer at the minute with 4, and then you've Neto, like you've said, he causes the problems, and it's gonna be a tough afternoon, so it's not going to be an easy fixture, that's for sure.
Well, just before we finish, just a quick shout out, just to say, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Help us on the road to 3K, very, very close to 2.5K. And we've got content coming. We've got the match reaction. We've got talking tactics. We'll have fans forum next week. So do keep on board with the channel. Martin, though, can I trouble you for a score prediction, please? And who will be the scorers?
Yeah, you can't trouble me for a prediction. I'm gonna go with 2-1 to Aston Villa. I think Neto will probably get himself a goal, so I'm gonna say he'll score for Wolves. And then I think Watkins and I'm actually gonna go for Matty Cash goal. I'm gonna go with Watkins and Matty Cash. I think Matty Cash might
Nice.
get one from right back.
Excellent. I'm going to say a 2-0 win. I think we'll keep a clean sheet. I'm going to stick with you on Watkins. And I'm going to say Diaby as well. I think Diaby's due a goal.
Yeah, he's been good away from home in fairness and goals, yeah.
Yeah. Right, Martin, thank you very much. That was really, really good. I'm really looking forward to the game tomorrow. I'm actually going. So if anyone's about, hit me up, say hello, and hopefully we get the victory. As I said before, we're going to be back with plenty of content over the next few days. So do keep with the channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, scoreline, predictions, who's going to start, thoughts on the game. Get involved in the comments. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.